Hey, g'day. Welcome to my Bitcoin update and what I'm looking at in the short term, and it seems to be potentially soon. We have this formation, as you can see on the chart, and what I do see along this big structure is a reversal and a continuation. How we just excuse me, how do we justify that? We can look at the monthly, and if we look at the monthly chart, just to give a perspective, you can see that the monthly is really pretty much kept up a level that is pretty good. There's no reversals at all at any time. So the monthly is positive, and realistically, December is usually a bullish month, so we can expect this to at least go up to a certain point. And anyway, the monthly doesn't do quite good justice in terms of showing how bullish it is, but it sure is not negative either. On the weekly, we can see that the weekly has a pullback, and there's a few wicks on the bottom on the weekly, and even this weekly, as we're coming up towards the end of the week, the wicks are pretty much low, and we know the response that we had from this Fibonacci level and this trend line. So I am looking at support. So if we look at support on the when we look at the monthly chart, we looked at support, and you can see how I got it over here. This is my monthly support, and we're right below it at the moment. That's the monthly support level, and that's acting as a resistance. We also have the weekly support level of the previous, and that is also acting as a resistance. And if we look a bit closer in terms of the moving averages, all these are acting as resistance as well. So if we were to just clear that, we can see that this moving average, three of them, I think the weekly 7, the weekly 7 moving average, the weekly 10, and the 20. And you can see that the weekly 7 moving average has been support historically all the way through until it's broken, and the weekly 10. Looking up close, you can see that they had a lot of confluence in being support here as well, and sort of support and resistance, and right now it's acting as resistance. What we're looking at from a close-up perspective on the daily is that this pocket here is acting as a support level. You can see historically there was a lot of support there. So once we break above this key, this resistance on the weekly resistance level, now it's acting as support, and we have this diagonal trend line that's acting as resistance as well. So this potentially could be inverted head and shoulders, and that inverted head and shoulders structure has a target of this trend line of so. So I'm just putting a few lines in there where that could be resistance and that could be the target, and we are basically potentially having this breakout of this formation, and then we just continue on. It's not going to be a runaway chart. That's my point. Bitcoin is not going to run away like we had over here. It's just going to be, because we're doing all-time highs and knocking on that door, we're going to have small movements or great, not so much gains. So what do I expect? Let's have a look at that. So we can see just another point, weekly wicks there, and also this section is showing that it's a bit bullish. So I do expect a move to the upside. And now what can we do is potentially, let me just clear all that for a sec. I've got more to do. Now what I'm expecting is this, and the weekly is not going to help me there. I'm going to do it on the daily. exhaustion, pretty much. So what we had here was a bit of a curve, and the bottom, bit of a curvature, support, and you can see how that became resistance as well. Should change that color to black. And I do see this pretty much in a similar fashion. We have a curvature type of scenario. And yeah, this is the hard part. What kind of curve is it going to be? But we do. So it's not as bullish as people would think so. And if I was to apply my Fibonacci on that, from a perspective, I can potentially have, actually I've got a need to do that, don't I? So about 78k. Yep, 78k if we're lucky. If that's the if you can say that's a channel. I do see a potential for price to just hit up there and then come down, or formation like that before it goes up. So this is our potential A, B type of thing, C, and then to the upside. That's B, yep. Or we just go straight up and hit that resistance on that curvature. It might make it to the top. I do see the 1.272, 78k being a major resistance, and then pushing price back down. And to justify that, I would imagine that we'll see this breakout. So we've got the 50 RSI with the 50% range. We can see that we have already broken it, and the positive confirmation is this breaking above the 50%. Also the MACD crossing over, and that's pretty much confirmation that we're going to the upside. At this point, on the lower time frame, we have many positives. As you can see, these weekly moving averages are acting as resistance, along with the monthly, and we are consolidating, and we could potentially have a nice breakout. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, maybe like a bull flag. This could be our left shoulder, that could be our head, and that's our right shoulder, and we're going to break up. Okay, so I'll leave it at that. Hopefully that makes some sense, and I'll talk to you soon.